Hello there, thank you so much for joining us on this edition of Morning Cafe. This is TV47, the home of untold stories. My name is Eric Munene, sitting in for Linda Alela.
I am Muthoni Maina, and thank you for joining us this early morning for the Morning Cafe. We've definitely got plenty for you in store this early morning, as we get to grab a hot cup of coffee here with my co-host Eric.
Definitely, we hope you're going to have a very fantastic show ahead. Interact with us at TV47KE. The hashtag is Morning Cafe. At Eric_Mnene is my Twitter handle. Let's interact. Muthoni and I are going to be with you for the next 4 hours, I guess.
Yeah,
we hope you're having a very fantastic start to your day.
And my Twitter handle is at MuthoniQ as well. Now, we will start with the Daily Nation.
Yeah, definitely. Let's see what made it to the headlines. Start with the Daily Nation. Scramble for Ruto cash. So Deputy President William Ruto has been dishing cash, and that is millions of shillings to hustlers, as he likes to call them. And this, the police say, is the root cause for the unfortunate incident that happened in Kondele. You remember last week when the deputy president visited Kondele to popularize his presidential bid. What happened? He was stoned, and police are saying that the scramble for the cash is exactly the root cause for that. That story is on page 4 of the Daily Nation. There is an in-depth coverage of it. The deputy president has dished out millions to churches, border operators, youth and women groups, and campaign organizers. And the high-stakes fight for the DP's money was what the National Police Service spokesperson, that is Bruno Shioso, blamed for the chaos that rocked Kondele in Kisumu County last week. Definitely, I'm sure the Deputy President's office is going to react to that. We'll be keeping a close eye on that, and our news team, as always, will be working on that and tell you more about it.
Absolutely, even as other leaders as well came out to condemn what happened in Kondele. And also on the front page of the Daily Nation, we've got that part on why Oka Unity has hit a turbulence. And you know, yesterday when they were at the Friends International Church in Kiserian, Mudavadi stated that they are definitely reading from a different script because they have not yet set out who's their presidential flag bearer, and they said Kalonzo and Gideon Moi are hand in hand supporting Raila Odinga to join them in Oka, and Musalia Mudavadi was definitely saying that he was reading from a different script because this is a statement that was made without him being there, and saying he also quoted saying that nobody should send a government agent to tell the people whom to vote for.
Yeah, and on page 6, we jump over to page 6. There's a very interesting story there about the ODM party leader, that is Raila Odinga, signaling his support for Westlands MP, that is Tim Wanyonyi, for the city's top seat. This is very interesting because the seat has attracted all kind of people. There is the business lady, Agnes Kagure. There's the current senator of Nairobi, that is Johnson Sakaja, and many others who are in the race. And, well, I've had, people in the ODM camp saying that, Tim Wanyonyi should, battle it out like anyone else. So this latest development about Raila, throwing his weight behind him is going to be quite interesting. We'll just go through it quickly. What the ODM Secretary General Edwin Sifuna said. He said that we were at the coast for the Azimio La Umoja tour, but in the morning, Raila gave him his own chopper, as this is also a very important event. Edwin Sifuna, interestingly, is also eyeing that seat. So, well, probably he's saying, you know what, I also have Raila's blessings. I don't know.
Absolutely, with Tim Wanyonyi having served Westlands for 2 consecutive terms. Yep. Well, we'll get to see what else he's got in store for Kenyans and Nairobi as well in that matter. And also on the front page, we've also got student unrest, the problem with our schools, with what has been going on. We have witnessed as a nation plenty of unrest in schools nowadays. And the committee recommended that every school should establish mentorship programs and strengthen guidance and counseling. The Ministry of Education was advised to also review salaries of non-teaching staff. Also, unions have stated that congestion has made it harder for teachers to enforce discipline. So, thought on that, is it true? Congestion.
Well, I think the problem is deeper. And there have been several reports that have been, gathering dust in stores somewhere. I don't know what the Education Ministry is doing about that. We had the CES, Education CES, that is Professor George Magoha, saying that, the return of corporal punishment is what is going to streamline that and, get these students towing the line. But
Absolutely.
If you ask me, I don't think that is the way. You've asked my opinion. I don't think if that's the way. I think there's a deep-seated issue that is bothering our students. But well, let's see what is going to be done for them.
For them to curb that issue on the unrest of schools.
Yeah, definitely. And on page 3, a very inspiring story from a sleepy village in Meru to an American College of Surgeons. We have Dr. Aruyaru, Stanley Aruyaru, who's a surgeon. His story is quite interesting. I was going through it earlier on in the morning. And, well, it's quite inspiring. Grab yourself a copy of the Daily Nation and jump to page 3. The story there by Leon Lidigu. He says that my performance in KCPE of 1998 at Lailuba Primary made me a village celebrity. He scored 501 out of 700 marks, and that record stood for 18 years. Can you imagine?
Wow.
18 years.
Amazing. Yeah, yes. And he's also stated that, at the very beginning he was a car mechanic, and now he is a human mechanic as a surgeon. So that is absolutely amazing for him to be fitted on that. Now, still on educational matters, we still have a form and changes in university course rules, which is setting jitters, as thousands of high school candidates should definitely brace themselves for changes in university placement criteria next year, because the process begins today with a meeting between the KUC CPS and vice chancellors of both the public and private universities, and also academic registrars will also be invited. There are 544 degree, 217 diploma courses being offered by various institutions, and also KUC CPS is working with the Kenya National Qualifications Authority to standardize the qualifications of diploma graduates that will ensure they are exempted from courses when they join universities to pursue their degrees.
Well, I'm looking for an opinion that I saw that was done by the former Kenya National Union of Teachers Secretary General, that is Wilson Sosion, who's a nominated member of Parliament, and he was talking about the system of education that we have right now and what he thinks should be done, to curb the violence in schools, and I can't seem to find it. But very quickly before we go to the standard, today in history, on page 18, we have, Mwai Kibaki being cleared to run for the second and final term. That was in 2007. Let me see if I can get that. Well, it seems it's taking time to load, but anyway, let's jump over to the standard. That is what has made it to the headlines. The front page, Mudava details into Raila Ruto pledges. I understand, the ANC leader is quite bothered by the social, economic models that the two are promoting. The Deputy President William Ruto, with his hustler narrative, is promoting what he's calling the bottom-up approach. The former Prime Minister, who is also the ODM leader, Raila Odinga, and on the other hand, he is saying that he will be given a stipend of 6,000 shillings to poor families every month. Critics have been asking, where will that money come from? Remember, he was the Prime Minister in the coalition government. He says he has the experience, he knows where that money will come from.
I actually remember yesterday, Musa Musalia Mudavadi on the same. He stated that for a government where you get your money through taxation or from borrowing. So he was also pointing out on that point of the 6,000 Kenya shillings that will be given out by Raila Odinga, or for the oncoming elections for the 2022, once he gets to be the president of,
if he gets to be
Kenya,
the president.
If he gets to be the president. Yes.
Okay, well, so the ANC leader has on that the promises made by both the deputy president and ODM leader on social funds he's saying is unrealistic, and he says that it is likely to lead to higher taxes or more debt burden, and in turn make the cost of living unbearable. Still on the front page, Oka leaders vow sustained war on graft. The leaders have promised zero tolerance for corruption in order to raise money for free secondary education, reduce taxes by half, as well as support single mothers.
Absolutely. And also, we've also got that story as well for the uproar over school fire, the penalties that will come with that. But I do believe that parents will be heavily affected by these, because once there's an uproar, the parents are expected to pay some huge fees because of the unrest that has been caused by students in schools. And also there is a story on the fuel subsidy in Matters Business that stops further price hikes, and it's on page 27. And page 27, and also you see the subsidy tames petrol prices from rising to a record of 143 Kenya shillings per litre. Fuel prices will remain unchanged for the next 1 month thanks to the government subsidy. This follows a spike in the cost of crude oil in the international markets. This is definitely some kind of a breather for Kenyans, as they will definitely not be on the 60s and 7s when it comes to the payment of these fuel prices.
Well, on your screen right now is happiness drama over Ruto cash. That is page 8 of the Standard. They've also done that story. Police claim that disagreement over money is to blame for the chaos witnessed in Kondele, and keeping up with the DP's countrywide tours is hard for the dozens of leaders accompanying him. We can see there the Korea East Member of Parliament, that's Mara Kitayama, with a wad of currency notes. That's quite some money. It's a lot of money. And his Korea West counterpart, Matthias Roby, were giving cash to the business community in Homa Bay town. So, as earlier we had discussed, the story on the Daily Nation, I think this has not captured what the police was saying. They have their eyes trained on the deputy president, and they are taking note as he keeps on, popularizing his presidential bid. I don't know what you think. Do you think, Kondele was really all about money, or it was, pre-planned?
There are two major issues on that. Maybe it was about money, maybe it was pre-planned, but also on page 8 there's that story on the same where Ruto says we'd have done so much if not for Raila's mess. And he says that he has accused former Prime Minister Raila Odinga for disrupting the government agenda since 2018. Ruto said that the government had in 2013 designed a development strategy focusing on the country's transformation before ODM leader interrupted their plans.
Well, cross over to the People Daily. Front page is all about politics. But before we go to politics, there's the rough ride for Mwendwa. The embattled FKF boss was deepened today on Monday as he appears in court to face graft charges, with police going after more football administrators. I understand he was arrested on Friday. I think Kamata Friday resumed with Mwendwa. So then there's quite an unfortunate story there. The mystery of NHIS fake land documents, that is on page 9 of the People Daily. Very quickly, we go through it. Hope it doesn't fail me this time. Well, there it is. There. So the 23-acre piece of land has been in dispute between the fund and 3 other claimants. The story there by Geoffrey Mosoku. Well, Mosoko says that the National Hospital Insurance Fund, that is the NHIF, may lose that 1.2 billion piece of land in Nairobi's upmarket Karen should the Ministry of Land implement a police investigation report. Well, this is going to be interesting because, the digitization of the land registry is ongoing, and it will be quite interesting because everything now will be in the open.
Absolutely.
And we'll be following up on that, yes.
Yeah.
So we go back to the People Daily front page. Ruto rethinks the Mount Kenya plot after Raila jolt. The DP is expected to camp in central Kenya this week, seeking to reclaim lost ground with a new strategy. His handlers say that they will use defections, targeted propaganda, and tone down on attacks on president to win the hearts of the electorate. I mean, that is quite bold. His handlers are quite open. They're saying that they'll use targeted propaganda.
Yeah, so Ruto is in the Mount Kenya region, while Raila Odinga is in Kilifi, right?
Yep.
He's in Lamu today. He's expected to tour Kilifi and Kwale County as well. So we'll definitely be keeping an eye on that. Now it is time to also now shift the focus to news, where 3 of the 4 staff members of Mvita Member of Parliament Abdul Swamad Nasir, who died in a road accident in Lamu County, have laid to rest. Ali Omar Naman, Athuman Muhammad and Elson Musyoka were laid to rest in Mombasa on Sunday, while burial arrangements for Karo Mweni are underway. The 4 lost their lives on Saturday after the car they were in rolled over following a tire burst, killing all of them on the spot. The accident occurred near Mpeketoni when they were on their way to a political function in Lamu.
Sisi viongozi tumekuja hapa kuwashindikiza wenda zake na kusema kwamba inna lillahi wa inna ilaihi rajiun. Kwa hiyo tuna masikitiko makubwa sana ambao watu wa Mombasa kwa kuondokewa vijana wetu ambao walikuwa wamejitolea kwa hali na mali usiku mchana kung'ang'ana kuhakikisha kwamba wanatembea na kiongozi.
Tusisahau hiyo na tusisahau kwa sisi tuna miezi 10 ya siasa na maisha lazima yaendelee. Hii ni funzo pia kwa sisi sote kuwa tusiweke siasa, tusiweke chuki kwenye siasa. Na kama mnavyoona hapa, kila mtu kwenye kila mrengo wa siasa yuko hapa kutoa pole, manake huu ni msiba mkubwa kwa sisi sote na kwa watu wa Mombasa.
Ni pigo kubwa, sio kwa familia peke yake, lakini sote ambao tulikuwa tukishiriki nao katika harakati za kuhudumia wananchi. Tuomba Mwenyezi Mungu awape familia zao busara na hikma waweze kuhimili huu uzito ambao wameweza kuupata.
It is definitely a gut-wrenching report there. May their souls rest in eternal peace. Our heartfelt condolences to the family, friends and relatives deeply affected. And now British aristocrat Lord Monson, whose son Alexander Monson was killed in police custody at a police cell in Diani 9 years ago, has arrived in the country from London to attend the judgment of the murder case of his son. Alexander Monson was arrested in May 2012 at a nightclub in Diani for a drug offense, at least according to the police. Andrin Kileme reports.
Yes, I was 56 when my son was killed, and I'm now 66. So it's occupied quite a chunk of my life. But I was dedicated to the cause, and I was vowed not to stop unless death took me. happening.
For 9 torturous years following the death of his 28-year-old son in police custody, Lord Nicholas Monson, a British aristocrat, has fought to bring the alleged murderers to justice. Monson jetted into the country ahead of court judgment on Monday. Alexander Monson, then 28 years old, was arrested by officers from Diani police station at a nightclub at a beach resort on the 18th of May 2012 for a drug offense. According to police, Alexander would later die at the Diani police station on the 20th of May same year. Police initially claimed that Alexander had died of a drug overdose, allegations that were countered by a post-mortem report that revealed the 28-year-old had died as a result of blunt force on his head and that he had no drugs in his system by the time of his death.
Justice for Alexander, my son, is very important, but it's also important for the people of Kenya, whom I've always spoken about since Alexander was killed. I hope in a kind of a sympathetic and understanding way, and just wanting to bring the attention of the world to some of the bad things that happen here in this beautiful, lovely country.
4 police officers, Naftali Shege, Ismail Baraka, Charles Wagombe and John Pamba were charged with Alexander's murder. The judgment of the case will be made on Monday the 15th at the Mombasa High Court before Justice Eric Ogola. Andrina Kilemi, TV 47.
Now, away from the corridors of justice to environmental matters, as a deal aimed at staving off dangerous climatic change has been struck at the COP26 summit in Glasgow. The Glasgow Climate Pact is the first ever climate deal to explicitly plan to reduce coal, the worst fossil fuel, for greenhouse gases. The deal also presses for more urgent emission cuts and promises more money for developing countries to help them adapt to climate impacts. However, environmentalists from Kisumu County are an angry lot after leaders attending the COP26 conference in Glasgow failed to renew targets for 2030.
Empty promises. Climate justice. Climate justice. Climate justice. Climate justice. Climate justice. No more Planet B.
Very tricky.
In this breach of compromise.
Dear friends, some of the older...
They can make pledges but fail to heed to them. I can say COP26 is a failure. It is a failure to the global north. It is a failure to the whole world. Global warming is increasing. Floods are increasing. The terrestrial ecosystem, the marine ecosystem where we get our fish, the fish production is going to reduce and hunger will increase globally.
Nowadays, it's like everything has changed. You can't tell which month is for rain and which month will sun come, yeah. And again, we are seeing a lot of drought.
In fact, we are doomed. Because if this climatic change does not improve, then we don't have agriculture. And agriculture is the backbone of everything. Without food, there is nothing. Now, if we cannot change, then we are bound to almost be extinct.
We must accelerate action to keep the 1.5 degree goal alive. Our fragile planet is hanging by a thread. We are still knocking on the door of climate catastrophe. It's time to go into emergency mode, or our chance of reaching net zero will itself be zero. I reaffirm my conviction that we must end fossil fuel subsidies, phase out coal, put a price on carbon, build resilience of vulnerable communities against the here and now impacts of climate change, and make good on $100 billion climate finance commitment to support developing countries. We did not achieve these goals at this conference, but we have some building blocks for progress. Commitments to end deforestation, to drastically reduce methane emissions, to mobilize private finance around net zero. We won't reach our destination in one day or one conference. But I know we can get there. We are in the fight of our lives. Never give up, never retreat. Keep pushing forward. I will be with you all the way. COP27 starts now.
Now, as the political temperatures continue to rise ahead of next year's general elections, church leaders in the country have been at the forefront in expressing their views on the ongoing political campaigns in the country. Elizabeth Atieno now reports.
In September this year, the Anglican Church of Kenya Archbishop Jackson Ole Sapit barred politicians from speaking and campaigning in churches, a directive that was later implemented by other churches in the country. The debate, however, elicited mixed reaction amongst different political leaders in the country. Today, the Presbyterian Church of East Africa PCEA head Reverend Patrick Thegu has urged Kenyans to keenly scrutinize through the aspirants' manifestos before deciding whom to vote for in next year's general elections.
Mimi nashangaa, zitatimizwa kweli? Hizi ahadi, hizi za bottom up, hizi za 6,000 mwisho wa mwezi. Uchumi huo uko wapi na sijauona mimi? Mjihadhari sana, sababu mengine mnaambiwa tu ili mpigwe masaji ya kisiasa. Mwishowe wajinga ndio waliwao.
Speaking during the official opening of PCEA Madogo branch in Tana River County, Reverend Thegu further criticized the latest act of violence witnessed in Kondele, Kisumu County during Deputy President William Ruto's political visit in Nyanza region. Sentiments that have been echoed by Soy Member of Parliament Caleb Kositani and a section of Muslim leaders from Lamu County.
Wakija hapa, kama hutaki kuwasikiza, kaa nyumbani. Ukiwasikiza na huwapendi, wewe kaa kimya, usipige hata makofi. Lakini usichukue jiwe urushie mwenzako, urushie gari la mtu, uharibu mali, uchome mali, haihitajiki. Wakati wa kupiga kura tutapiga, na atakayeshinda ashinde, na atakayeshindwa ni Mkenya.
We said we are going to change the conversation. We are happy the conversation has changed. But we see our brothers in ODM, the party of violence, the party of stone throwing, and our former party Jubilee. They have lost track again. They had come and had started talking about policies and issues during their campaigns, but they have fallen back and started discussing William Ruto.
Huwezi kuzima vita, usiwe ni mtu wa kupalilia vita.
Wanasiasa kama hao ambao kwamba ni wana siasa mbaya kama hizo kuchochea watu, mimi naomba serikali yetu wachukulie hatua kabisa. Wakiwezekana hata wanyang'anywe tikiti, wasiwe wenye kusimamia.
Na waomba vijana Kenya mzima na Lamu kwa jumla wasikubali kuchochewa na wanasiasa. Mwanasiasa yoyote asiwatumie vijana kama nguzo. Mtakuwa mnacheseka kwa sababu serikali mwisho haitakubali kwamba watoto wafanye fujo. Na mkipewa pesa 2-3, mwambie mtu awasaidie pesa kama vijana hamna kazi, lakini sio kwa uchochezi.
Elizabeth Atieno, TV 47.
Political helm, MPs allied to Deputy President William Ruto from Mount Kenya now say Ruto is the right candidate to take over from President Uhuru Kenyatta in 2022. And as Mike Kagongo now reports, the leaders say Ruto has stood with President Kenyatta irrespective of circumstances, saying they will firmly rally behind him.
Speaking in Kerumo in Murang'a County, DP Ruto's allies from Mount Kenya have said the DP is the right candidate to take over from President Uhuru Kenyatta in 2022. They said Dr. Ruto has stood with President Uhuru Kenyatta irrespective of circumstances, saying they will firmly rally behind him.
As a resident of Mount Kenya, as a resident and leader from Murang'a, from all the areas that I've gone, in fact, mimi naona hii ni gome yako.
Your Excellency, umezunguka, tumekusikia, umeeleza, umetenda. Ulituambia hapo mbeleni ni kusema na kutenda. Tumeona ukitenda, umetembelea wananchi kila pahali kwa nchi yetu ya Kenya.
The Deputy President William Ruto on his side has yet again hit at ODM leader Raila Odinga over causing disturbance in the government agenda since 2018.
Atakosekana mtu kati yetu ya kutuongoza ati mpaka waende wakodeshe mtu ya kitendawili, mtu ya kung'oa reli, mtu ya kutupa mawe, mtu ya kuvunja chama, mtu ya kuvunja mambo yote ati yakuja atuongoze. Bana.
Ruto said in 2013 the government designed a development strategy focusing on the transformation of the country before there was interruption.
Na maombi yetu ni kwamba siasa ya Kenya iwe ni siasa ya kuunganisha watu, kuunganisha wa Kenya.
Speaking at Kangare Market after he attended Gabori AIPCA and Kangare Church, the second in command said in 2013, he and President Uhuru Kenyatta went on a campaign promising Kenyans on what to undertake.
Mwaka ujao kwa mapenzi ya Mungu, vile tulikuwa tumepanga ndani ya Big Four, tunaweka bilioni 100 katika mambo ya housing, manufacturing, agro-processing, value addition, ili tuzalishe nafasi milioni 4 ya hawa vijana wetu wa taifa la Kenya.
Kiharo MP Dede Nyoro told of OCA principals to stop unnecessary noises and join the hustler nation.
Mumekuwa mkiwekwa kwa kakona kupangwa, na tumeona sasa muko karibu pia nyinyi kurushwa nje. Tunawakaribisha kama mahasela. Nyinyi wote nimeangalia background zenu. Kalonzo ni Saikuru, ni mtoto kama mimi wa fukara. Wa Mudavadi hapo tunaongea baadaye. Lakini ya Wetangula lakini pia Wetangula ukiangalia darubini yake ni kama mimi na huyu hasela. Karibuni hapa Hasla Nation.
Na ni kwamba tunajua ni nani alitusaidia wakati tulikuwa na hitaji usaidizi wa dhati. Na ni nani alisimama na sisi wakati tulihitaji mtu wa kusimama na sisi.
Pesa kwa wakulima.
Mike Kagwongo, TV 47.
Coverage. Nego.
Now, ODM leader Raila Odinga has kicked off his tour at the Coast region. Odinga started in Lamu County, defending his 6,000 Kenya shillings promises to the less fortunate. Raila is set to tour Kilifi and Kwale counties in his 3-day tour.
Juzi mimi nilisema kwa sababu ya hali ya ufukara na umaskini ambayo iko katika taifa letu. Saa ingine ukame imekuja, mfugo zinakufa. Saa zingine mvua hakuna yanyesha, mimea inapotea. Sasa unakuta saa ingine watu wengine wanalala njaa. Hatutaki kuona kama Mkenya yote analala njaa. Ndio sababu nimesema tutaleta ile kinaitwa Social Protection Fund ambayo itasaidia Wakenya ambao hawana mapato. Na nilisema kuanzia mwaka ujao kila jamii ambaye hakuna mtu ambaye ana mapato watakuwa wakipata kila mwezi kutoka kwa serikali shilingi 6,000. Wanasema ati baba anasema uongo, ati hiyo ni porojo. Baba ameshakuwa waziri mkuu wa taifa la Kenya. Mimi najua yale mimi nasema. Mimi najua pale ambayo wao wanapenya naye na kuiba pesa zetu. Hizo mianya mimi nitaziba zote. Nitapata pesa ya kutosha ya kumudu mpango hii. Wameiba pesa zenu. Sasa ile walikuwa wanaingia ndani nimembamba kama shindani. Baada ya mwaka moja amefura kama kupe. Amesafionza damu ya ng'ombe.
Now, as cabinet secretaries who are being accused of involvement with the 2022 succession politics remain adamant, a section of MPs have vowed to sponsor a motion to have them impeached over misconduct. Boniface Barasa reports.
The Intergovernmental Budget and Economic Council meeting set for the 22nd of this month will involve at least 5 cabinet secretaries and Council of Governors. The DP is likely to meet Treasury CS Ukuri Yatani, George Magoha of Education, Transport CS James Macharia, Peter Munyo of Agriculture, and Charles Ketero of Devolution. Some of the cabinet secretaries are opposed to Ruto's 2022 candidature. Ruto's allies have been accusing the cabinet secretaries of playing politics. However, speaking in Isiolo County, Interior Principal Secretary Dr. Karanja Kibicho has been the latest to defend the stand, where he urged locals to support leaders allied to President Uhuru Kenyatta.
Mimi ni mfuasi wa Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta kabisa. Na hapo sitoki. Watu wa Merit mnanisikia? Ndio. Tuweke masikio yetu ikiwa tayari. Ile njia ya Uhuru Kenyatta anatuambia tuelekee. Ndio. Ni kweli? Hebu nionyeshe na mkono nione.
However, the cabinet secretaries have been defended by National Assembly Speaker Justin Muturi and Limuru MP Peter Mwadhi.
Hata sasa naona watu wengine wanasema mawaziri wafanye wacheni tu hata wao wazungumze. Even ministers have views, they have opinions. Ama namna gani? After all, wamepewa kazi na rais. Akienda aje anaenda kufungua barabara, mradi wa maji pale, si ni wakusaidia wananchi. Atakoza kuzungumza wale.
No, the PS in internal security and the CS of administration and national security have been an attack, and those people who are attacking them are politicians, and they are attacking them because they are doing their work. Now imagine you want to tell Kibisho not to do his work, you want to tell Matiang'i not to do his work, and then you are complaining you are not getting security. That is double speak.
Despite the said cabinet secretaries receiving support from some quarters, other lawmakers have voted to have them kicked out of the cabinet for lack of confidence in their service.
Tunataka watu wanaofanya kazi ya serikali wawe neutral, the principle of neutrality. Na shida ambayo imekuja hapa Kenya sasa ni kwa sababu wafanyikazi wa serikali wamejiingiza kwa mambo ya siasa.
So sisi tukiwa wabunge, kabla hajamaliza mnaibu, the few cabinet secretaries who are misbehaving and engaging in politics, we are going to impeach you for gross misconduct and violation of the Constitution.
The legislators have also condemned politics of violence and called on the youth to desist from being used by politicians who are out to achieve their selfish gains, saying everyone has a right of association and freedom of speech.
Wale ambao walilinga naibu wa rais kule Kondele, wati ya mheshimiwa Raila Odinga, hiyo ni makosa. Na sio sawa yeye kusema kwamba wati yake hakupeana ruhusa yoyote. Kwani iko kiongozi anapeananga ruhusa ndio watu walinge? Watu huwa wanalinga kulingana na tabia za watu.
Article 39 of the Constitution inasema kila mtu ana haki to move everywhere in Kenya. Sasa kama kiongozi umpendi, usimtupie mawe. Na nyinyi vijana, msikubali mtu yeyote awatumie nyinyi.
Wale tunaomba kura, tuombe kwa njia ya amani. Sema ukichaguliwa utafanyia nchi hii kitu gani?
The leaders spoke after attending a church service at St. John Catholic Church in Cherangani constituency, where they later addressed residents in stopovers at Kachibora, Kipkk, and Sipanga Market. Boniface Barasa, TV47, Trans Nzoia County.
Now, the One Kenya Alliance principals are still divided on whether to include ODM leader Raila Odinga in next year's general elections. Each of the OKA principals insists they will be on the ballot next year. And as Paul Kirobi now reports, Mudavadi has vowed that the alliance will name its flag bearer early next year.
Disconnect and wrangles are still surrounding the One Kenya Alliance principles on whether to include ODM boss Raila Odinga in the coalition or not. NC boss Musalia Mudavadi insists he will be on the ballot, promising that OKA will name its flag bearer early next year.
You know, you cannot restrain somebody from making personal statements. I've spoken to that issue and I've said that this may be stretched into next year, just a few minutes ago. but somebody I cannot control. Yeah, I was here. The statement was made away from me. I cannot add anything to it.
Our presidential candidate zifanywe through consensus na makanisa yaombe. Because if you don't carry the nomination through consensus, then we shall be divided. Tutagawana kama vyama vingine. But you want to be a united front. Ndio Quakers ikifika tarehe 9 mnaenda kuombea Musalia State House. Sema mtu yenu ameingia State House. Si mnataka namna hiyo? Si mnataka nomination ya amani? Na mimi nikiangalia qualities za Mheshimiwa Musalia Mudavadi, I'm telling you the truth. Hata siku ile nilikuwa nasindikiza mama yake hapa, niliwaambia hii kanisa, huyu Mheshimiwa Musalia Mudavadi alisomesha.
On Saturday, KANU chairman and one of One Kenya Alliance's principals said that Raila was still part of the option in the alliance's tables. Mudavadi, however, appearing to read on a different script.
How are you going to fund all these welfare programs that people are putting on the table? There is no government that has got its own money. Any government must get its money through taxation and borrowing. Only two options: taxation and borrowing.
Kwanza mimi unajua mimi ni mtu ya msimamo. Hata tuko na Right Honorable Raila Omolo Odinga ambaye tunafanya kazi pamoja. Sisi zote. Hata Rais Uhuru Kenyatta hapo.
Let us not have a situation where somebody will use an agent of government to try and direct people to vote in a particular way. That is the message I want Kenyans to stand with.
Yeah, you have said that, but is there anybody in particular?
What I have said is enough. And Kenyans are very intelligent people.
And days after Deputy President William Ruto's motorcade was pelted with stones in Kisumu, the ANC party leader has yet again condemned the incident.
Yeah, I mean, when people say, oh, you go and organize and you have your own car stoned, come on. Even you, let's be serious. Will you really do that? So some of these things are being trivialized beyond logical limits. Kwani huyu Savula has he become that faith kama ile ya Middle East, wanaweka mishumari wanajichapa amwage damu peke yake.
One Kenya Alliance principals Kalonzo Musyoka of Wiper, KANU's Gideon Moi, among other political leaders, attended a church service in Kiserian and thereafter held political rallies in several towns of Kajiado County to popularize their agenda.
Tukichukua serikali na Mungu atujalie afungue akili ya kila mwananchi wa Kenya. Hapa kuna export processing zones. Ni kweli si ni kweli?
Kwamba tutalete free secondary education. Wazazi wameumia kuumia. Ndio hiyo tumesema, na tena kukata ushuru by 50%. Si ndio? Tumeshasikia hiyo.
Msikubali mtu akaje akaanza kuwauzia fikra za umaskini. Mfikirie kazi yenu ni kusukuma mkokoteni maisha yenu yote.
Tutahakikisha kila jamii, hata wale hawafanyi kazi, wanapewa kadi ya NHIF ili waweze kutibiwa wakiwa na wagonjwa.
Paul Kirobi, TV47, Nairobi.
Thank you, Paul Kirobi, for that report. Now it's a wrap for the news segment. Now over to you, Eric, for you to update us with what's coming up next.
Well, thank you, Mudhoni. So I will be joined in the next few minutes by Betty Adera, who's the national chair of the KANU Women Congress. The deputy governor of Kisii, that is Joash Maangi, will be joining us virtually, and we are hoping that the former deputy speaker of the National Assembly, that is Farah Maalim, will also be joining us in studio. We're going to talk about politics and everything in between. Keep it here.
Entrepreneurs around the country are creatively grinding.
I started with a borrowed phone.
A borrowed phone?
Yeah, that could last 2 hours with charge.
We just have to do quality work for them.
To make their mark in an unpredictable market.
It was now going on a sales venture, looking for stockists door to door.
On the grind, we bring you their stories so you can tell yours. Every Monday at 7:30 p.m. Men are known to be the pillars.
We're rising up together.
Say your point. You need an alpha male now to come and help you and your girl.
Anaongea zero.
And women, they are the cornerstone that hold the pillars.
Don't be entitled. A man is peaceful, a man knows how to talk to a lady.
This November, the Men's Conference brings a cocktail of diverse ladies to weigh in on various matters.
Something I'd love more to see is men being able to exist as themselves.
Tune in every Wednesday at 10 p.m.
Hello guys, and welcome to Night In with Joy Irungu. Joy Irungu. Joy Irungu.
Heartbreak, pain, and tears have been a major part of Night In Season 1. We thank you for being with us on this journey, and for this upcoming season, we will bring you more empowering stories that not everyone is talking about.
This is the only show where we keep it authentic. We share our lifetime experiences, and you know what? Tell every person that you can turn your pain into power.
Join Joy Irungu on Night In as we take the brave step of sharing.
The road to 2022 is becoming tougher.
Nyuma ya wheelbarrow kuna economic model.
And trickier with each passing day.
Niliwaambia washushe chini bei ya mafuta.
Political aspirants in a dilemma whether to change allegiance or not.
How has Raila and the handshake made Jubilee lose focus?
You've seen Raila Odinga flying military choppers.
Our people have never been called to Uhuru Park to unite. They have always united out of their own volition.
Reduce your madness.
Kenyans are suffering.
That'd be fair to conclude.
I don't want your station to be sued. That Jubilee government has never been able to sponsor any successful project.
Every Monday at 9:30 p.m., Pundits Night brings you inclusive and candid conversations with the pundits. We say disability is not inability.
Our impairment are not disability. Disability is the barriers put across by the society.
Beyond the Limit gives a voice to those abled differently.
People with special needs can undertake a job, particularly that is customer service focused, as good, if not better, than people that are 100% abled.
We bring you conversations of these great persons, round table conversations, and many more. Every Saturday at 7:30 p.m.
Tasty. 100 yani chumvi imeonja kabisa, like you do not need to add anything.
So the first thing you need as a beekeeper is a beehive.
Yes. Even though I know I won't read it as that because then I'll be getting the time.
You can handle it. But if you want us to reduce, we can reduce it.
Wake up feeling fresh every morning and knowing that there is a morning show that's got you covered. It's the morning show built just for you. From local headlines,
fully equipped
debate, entertainment, and so much more. I'm always thrilled joining you every Monday to Friday from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. only on TV47, the home of untold stories.
Kilimo Diaries is not your one-stop show. Sandra Wahito is always on the move to different counties, different farms, and it's always unpredictable. Animals, crops, and advice from both farmers and experts.
We also add calcium sulfate when it's too basic.
Every Sunday at 6:30 p.m., we talk agriculture.
Welcome back to Morning Cafe. Remember, the hashtag is Morning Cafe. At TV47KE is the social media handle, Twitter handle rather. Mine is at Eric_Mnene. Let's interact. In studio, I am joined by Betty Adera, who's the co-chair of the One Kenya Alliance Secretariat and also the KANU Women Congress National Chair. Karibu to the studio.
Thank you very much, Eric, for having me today, and a happy new week.
Happy New Year to you too. You wear many hats. And virtually, I'm joined by the Kisii Deputy Governor, that is Joash Maangi. Welcome to the show, sir. So, let's talk about the main issue here. Deputy President William Ruto trying to make inroads in Kisumu, that is the backyard of the former Prime Minister Raila Odinga, and we saw what happened. Unfortunately, there was violence, and now police have trained their guns on the Deputy President, saying that it is his dishing out cash that is causing this. Your thoughts on that?
I want to believe that this next general election is a different one, and it's a unique one in a variety of ways. One, we are seeing leaders from all sides of the political divide able to transact and move around the country without feeling that this is not necessarily my stronghold, but they're moving everywhere, right from the One Kenya Alliance principles. Look at the Deputy President himself, Right Honorable Raila Odinga, and other, especially presidential contestants, who will come. The Deputy President in himself was received massively not too long ago when we were having the national celebrations, in Kisumu, and the same Kondele. Kondele folks, from what was reported by the media, blocked his motorcade and demanded for him to address them. Those are the same people. So the question is, what happened this time? What is it that was different? That particular week, the Deputy President was visited many areas within, if you allow me to use the broader, Nyanza region of Kenya. And there was nowhere where he was pelted with stones, apart from Kondele. I'll get to that in a moment. Secondly, we have seen that for the longest time ever, the Deputy President has perhaps adopted the model, the campaign model of dishing out money. We know the monies that have been dished out in all manner of churches, in all manner of places. We see, youth groups receiving money. We see women groups receiving money, which is okay, because in my view, these are taxpayers' money. This is the money, for Kenyans. But now, when it comes to this particular incident, where his motorcade, so to speak.
Let me take you back there. What do you mean by taxpayers' money? Are you suggesting in a way that the Deputy President is dishing out his salary or allowances given to him by the taxpayer?
Not necessarily, Eric. You know as much as I do that the Lord of Corruption is none other in this country. You know that as much as I do. Yes, I agree.
You can say that he's not here to defend himself. I've just asked you. You've just said that yes, you are sure that this is taxpayers' money going back to them. And that is what I wanted you to, tell our viewers.
Yes, we carry on.
Yeah, you can say that with authority that that's taxpayers' money.
We carry on, and yes, I can say that.
Yeah, go ahead.
With authority, and I use a couple of signature corruption cases that we know that have been in the public light, touching on his personality, touching in his office, touching on the government positions, that he has held, over the years since 2013, not beginning now. Now, what I wanted to say is, from what we hear in the media, the intelligence security officials warned him that there's a problem, going to Kondele, and he still went there anyway. And what we see, reported by the same security apparatus is that there was an issue around the money. Perhaps a section of those who were supposed to receive, after having been mobilized, did not receive it. Hence, you know, how do you explain, how do you complain, how do you react to not receiving what perhaps you were promised or what you thought, you know, you would get? Hence the peddling of the stones. But I want to say this. The security of the deputy president, I believe, did an incredible job at protecting him, his person. Yes. I mean, we did not hear, you know, report that a whole deputy president has been hurt or anything. Although the potential for that, you know, was there. We could see other, like, vehicles and other property, you know, sort of like, you know, destroyed because of the stone throwing and the protest, you know, by the people right there. So I'm thinking that getting into 2022, and this is like for all, you know, political aspirants, no matter the seat, you know, you're going for, we all agree and appreciate the role of money, you know, in political campaigns, and the role of money more so this time when people are coming from, still trying to heal, you know, from COVID. People are broke, people are hungry, people just don't have money, people just need even that 50 shillings, you know, to go and buy this, that, and the other. But again, it behooves the aspirants themselves to ensure that their strategies, you know, work for them, and that no violence should ever come up, and especially not as a result of money that someone was supposed to get and someone was not. Look at his trip in Migori. I come from Migori, by the way, and I applaud the people of Migori. And when he's there with the governor, you know, of Migori, there was no stone throwing, while the people made it clear that we are not buying into, you know, whatever ideology you have come to sell to us, but there was no stone throwing. And I'm thinking that Kenyans should really adopt more of that. When there's a rally, go there and listen to all these people. You know, when they come to your area, listen to them on the media, so that when the D-Day comes, you know, all Kenyans are behooved to take an informed decision.
Well, Mheshimiwa Josh Maangi, if you can hear me, you are an ally of the Deputy President, that is William Ruto. The police are now saying that he had prior knowledge of what was going to happen in Kondele. He had been warned about what actually happened in Kondele by the, you know, the security apparatus, including the intelligence. Your thoughts on that?
I can't hear you.
Well, Mheshimiwa, my question is, the police are saying that the deputy president had prior knowledge of what happened in Kondele, but he still went ahead and held a series of rallies there. It was quite unfortunate. We saw what happened. And now that I know you're an ally of the deputy president, I just wanted to hear your thoughts on that. The police are now turning the blame on the deputy Ruto, and they're saying that it is actually the scramble for his cash that caused whatever happened in Kondele. I want your thoughts on that.
First and foremost, let me confirm to you that as a friend of William Ruto, and as a man who has joined him in some of these trips, no money whatsoever is distributed. He does not give out money. If he gives any contribution, Nira Nabeana in front of everybody. For example, empowerment money. For example, if they are Boda people, if they are Wamama, and our pair may be a millionaire, 500 here, that is the money that is given, and it's given in the open. Hii ingine mnasema that is given for mobilization, for logistics, is nothing but a lie. Now, you know, the other madam spoke about Ruto being the, I don't know what she called him, of corruption in Kenya. You know, she's in Kano. If she's in Kano and talking about corruption, corruption can be equated to the name Moi. And it's interesting how people, when they have self-interest, they ignore reality and you know, and try to besmirch other people. Ruto may not be perfect, yes, but saying there is a lot of corruption is far-fetched. Secondly, when you speak about Kondere, you say that earlier on during Maschade, the people of Kondere were jubilant. They actually stopped Ruto on the road so they can speak to them. That's a clear indication that the people like him. He is popular in that area. And that is a clear indication that what happened was out of incitement. I think somebody is uncomfortable that Ruto is making inroads in areas he's not supposed to be making inroads. And that is why there was incitement. I mean, this rubbish about police saying that they gave out Ruto, If you want to know that's a lie, police don't release sensitive information like that. Police would never release, if there was a security issue, it will be handled in-house. But when they come out and say that, oh, we want it.
Just hold on. You're saying that police do not release such sensitive information, but then again, it is the National Police spokesperson, Bruno Shioso, who confirmed this. He's part of the National Police Service. What do you mean when you say...
That's what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that under normal circumstances, police don't release that kind of sensitive information.
Okay.
The fact that the police spokesman released that kind of information spells malice. It's very clear that they were trying to belittle, they are trying to find a way of blaming William Ruto. Clearly. I'm telling you, my brother, under normal circumstances, police will not release that kind of sensitive information. But they released it because they wanted to take part.
You've said that Deputy President does not dish out money. This is a picture on page 8 of the Standard. I don't know if it can be beamed on the screen right now, and I don't know if you've got yourself a copy of the Standard, Mheshimiwa, but there's a picture here. Korea East Member of Parliament Mara Kitiama with a word of currency notes, and his Korea West counterpart Matthias Roby giving cash to the business community in Homa Bay town. I presume this was last week when the Deputy President visited that area. Why are you on? Why will you go live on national TV and say that the Deputy President does not, give out cash?
It is true. Let me ask you something. We politicians have our own way of mobilizing crowds.
Yeah.
If Marwa, the MB for Korea East, was dishing out money, that's not William Ruto. That is Korea. That is Marwa. Sure.
Okay.
You have confirmed yourself that you can see Marwa dishing out money. That is Marwa. We don't know why was he dishing out money. But that's not Ruto. As I said, I didn't say Marwa does not dish out money. I said Ruto does not dish out money. I didn't say anything about Marwa.
Okay, fair enough. While we're still on this topic of, politicians dishing out money, the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission has made efforts in the past, to cap financing, the campaign financing, but legislators, especially in the National Assembly, have worked very hard to defeat this. And there's an article here that was done by the Daily Nation, I think on the 21st of September this year. Now MPs have gone even further. They want to keep secret campaign donors and election spending, dealing a blow to efforts to enforce accountability in poll financing. What is your thought on that, Betty?
First and foremost, I'm of the view that Elections Financing Act would have greatly benefited women aspirants, would have greatly benefited youthful aspirants, would have greatly benefited aspirants who are PWDs, or so to speak, the marginalized and the disadvantaged groups in our country, because the Constitution accords rights, to vie for all Kenyans, as long as, you meet the IBC requirements, and as long as you meet your political party requirements if you're vying through a party, and as long as you meet the requirements set aside by IBC if you're running as an independent candidate. Now, for me, first and foremost, the timing of that bill, was wrong. You bring such a conversation when people are just already smelling, the next general elections, and the members of parliament, or let me put it this way, the PG, are themselves, aspirants, if you allow me to use that word. A number of them perhaps might decide not to run, but a good chunk will be going out there to defend, whatever seats they actually hold. Now, that particular bill would have opened up the space for more transparency, more scrutiny, because we know the role of money, as we have just been talking about. Money is a tool, is an enabler in any political campaign. But money can also be used to disadvantage somebody else. Money can also be used to cause violence and all these things. So when the appropriate authorities is aware of how monies are moving in so-and-so's, campaign program, I think that would have been, a good thing for all Kenyans. So now, when they refuse that, when they throw that out, and then they're going ahead to say that that's a no-go zone, for the authorities, then it only leaves a lot, to be desired in terms of what really is in the plan, what are they planning to do, how much money is going to come in, how much, will actually be used, for the campaigns, and who are the sources of funders, because that is also critical according to the Elections Act. But what I would say is this. Yeah. I want to believe it behooves every aspirant to be as transparent as they can to their electorates, because those are the people they're going to go back to seek to be elected or to be re-elected. And this time around, perhaps Kenyans should be more smarter by looking at somebody's track record, looking at somebody's journey, the way they have journeyed with the electorate, and then make an informed decision. If the money comes, eat it, because it has come and it has been brought for you. But the day when it is between you, your vote, and your God, perhaps this is a time now for Kenyans to really pick people who they believe will hold their best interest at heart.
Okay, well, I do understand that the former deputy speaker of the National Assembly, that is Farah Maalim, has joined us for this important conversation. Welcome to the show, sir.
Okay, thank you. How are you? Sorry,
I am fine. It's okay, we seem to have trouble with his audio. Mheshimiwa, can you hear me?
Yeah, you know.
Well, before I engage the former deputy speaker, this goes to you, Bwana Mheshimiwa Deputy Governor. Why would members of parliament in the National Assembly want to keep campaign financing and donors secret?
I lost you again, I can't hear you.
Well, I'm asking, why would members of parliament work very hard to keep campaign financing and their donors secret? In advanced democracies like the United States, all these things are in the open, and that, prevents serious financial crime like money laundering. Why would MPs in Kenya want to keep such a low, why would they want rather to, to keep campaign funding and their donors secret, in your opinion? Well, I think we've lost the deputy governor due to a technical hitch. But Betty, as I mentioned earlier, you wear many hats. You're the co-chair of the One Kenya Alliance Secretariat. Page 1 of the, standard, the front page actually says that Mudavadi tears into Raila and Ruto pledges. Is this a sign of things to come? Is Mudavadi stepping out of the One Kenya Alliance?
First and foremost, remember, One Kenya Alliance is made of various political parties, constituent political parties, with political party leaders. So we have KANU, we have ANC, we have Wiper, we have Ford Kenya, and the door is open for any other, political party who wants to join this train. Now, these are individual parties with individual ideologies, coming together to have a conversation around how to approach the upcoming general elections. Now, that does not mean that anybody is gagged from saying anything, because each party leader has their own, individual positions, and there's also the OCA-wide, position. So anyone trying to say that there's disunity is actually not saying the right thing, because at least the 4 constituent primary party leaders are intact. They move around individually, but they also move around on some occasions like collectively, like what we saw yesterday.
So, you're saying they move around individually, but they have one common agenda. But page 5 of the Daily Nation, I don't know if you can read that. Cracks emerge among OCA principals. Leaders appear divided over a Sunday program with 2 press invites circulated to the media. We can see a picture of, former Vice President Kalonzo Musyoka there on the left. And I think at the background is the KANU leader, that is Gideon Moi, and on the right is Mudavadi alone, seemingly alone. And, he was at Friends International Center in Nairobi yesterday. You go through the story, it shows there's it seems, there are cracks in the alliance, and that's the reason why I was asking you. Do you think, Mudavadi, in your opinion, thinks that he's the first among equals?
I want to categorically still say there are no cracks. These cracks are propaganda that is being peddled by the media, if you allow me to use that word. And let me tell you something, not too long ago, the OCA principals were in Makueni.
Okay.
You know, for a mobilization drive, you know, to speak to the communities about voter registration. And there was also an upcoming by-election there. On that particular day, the KANU party leader was not in the country. Right? He was away. So did it mean that because Senator Gideon Moi is not in that entourage, KANU is not part of this? No. What's happening is that there are programs for individual party leaders to do whatever it is that they need to do. Like for us in KANU, we are doing our KANU things, you know, but we are also doing our OCA things. At the end of the day, we want to sell KANU to our people, but also collectively, we want to say we are tapping into the OCA ideology. And the same applies for all the other principles. So yesterday alone, in spite of the fact that Mheshimiwa Musalia was in some other church and the rest was someplace else, does not necessarily mean anything. Does not necessarily mean that there's a crack or there's what. His event was prior planned. This other one was also planned that way. And the agreement really there, even at the secretariat level, is that if it's an OCA, you know, event, so to speak, any principal who is available is welcome to attend, and they can also send, you know, their representatives if for whatever reason they cannot be there in person. But one thing is key, Eric, is that what OCA stands for is unity. OCA is in the middle. OCA occupies the middle ground. We are not too far left, we are not too far right. We are right in the middle. And what OCA is doing is to also come up and tell Kenyans that, hey, there's this horse, but there's also another horse, you know, that is coming in. The door of OCA is open for any other like-minded politician or political party, you know, to come in and join into the race towards 2022. And yes, the principals are having their own conversations at their level, and very soon, sooner than you think, we are going to see the white smoke.
Okay, fair enough. I understand that we have the Deputy Governor Kisii, Joash Maangi, back online. Just before that technical hitch, Mheshimiwa, I had asked you, let me take you back to the issue, the very important conversation about funding campaigns. Why would MPs work very, very hard to ensure that those who finance their campaigns are kept secret? And I remember I had asked you, if we are going to model our politics the politics of advanced democracies like the United States, that in the United States it is quite open and it promotes accountability. Why would MPs sitting in the National Assembly really want to keep this secret?
It's difficult to understand why MPs want to do that. And in this one, I said I agree with Petty Adera that their reasons must be completely suspect.
Okay.
Because there's no justification whatsoever. Because you see, campaign financing should be open. We should put a cap so that we know how much you're spending, number one. Number two, you should disclose all the sources of your campaign finances. I was giving an example of a member of parliament who wants to become a governor in a county and is being funded by a foreign country, for example, China. If this person wins the election of governorship, what's going to happen is that all the businesses in the county or the contracts will be given to Chinese. And that is why it's important for you to disclose who is the source of your funder, even at the presidential level. If a presidential candidate is being financed by a country that is not friendly to our country or whose foreign policy is suspect, we must question. That alone, your source of funding, can be a reason for people not to vote for you. So you should disclose where you're getting your money from. I mean, if you're using proceeds of corruption to campaign, Mwananchi should know that this man is using proceeds of corruption. That will also inform Mwananchi not to vote for you. So I do not understand why MPs do not understand that for democracy to flourish, for us to have a mature democracy, sources of campaign financing must be disclosed, and we must put a cap. Because now, let me ask you, if you are a member of parliament and you spend $1 billion to win an election, what is your interest? How are you going to recover this money in 5 years if you make an average of 1 million? An average of 1 million in 5 years will be about 60 million. If you spend $1 billion, I mean, what is the justification? So I believe we need to have two very critical components in the campaign financing bill. Number one, we must put a cap. We must put a limit. How much can each candidate spend in any one given election? Number one. Number two, each candidate must disclose the source of his campaign finance. If we don't do that, we are corrupting our elections.
Okay, thank you, Mheshimiwa. Now this goes to you, former Deputy Speaker, Farah Maalim of the National Assembly. Well, last week when ODM leader Raila Odinga visited the Ukambani region, there was talk by some leaders there in the event. They were saying, or they were suggesting, that the race to the 2022 top seat in the country is between two candidates, aspirants rather, only. That is the Deputy President, William Ruto, and the former Prime Minister, Raila Odinga. Betty Adera here, who is also the co-chair of the OCA Secretariat, says that OCA, the One Kenya Alliance, is also a worthy competitor. What do you think about that, former Deputy Speaker? Well, I think we've lost the former Deputy Speaker due to a technical hitch, but I will redirect that question to you, Mheshimiwa DG. Do you think the race to 2022 State House race is a two-horse race?
It's either William Ruto or Raila Odinga. You know, this OCA business, I have said it and I will say it again. These OCA, so-called OCA principles, these are flower girls in this campaign. If we have two horses, the likes of Gideon, the likes of Musalia, the likes of Kalonzo Musyoka will be considered as donkeys, for lack of a better word. I'm not trying to be insultive, but in terms of proper competitiveness, they are a rank lower than those two. And, this kind of divisions we're seeing between Madam Adera is trying to put a strong face. But the truth is that Musalia Mudavadi is not comfortable with the direction Gideon Moi and the group are taking these campaigns. Musalia Mudavadi wants to be the flag bearer through OCA. Musalia Mudavadi would like to see OCA supporting him. But he realizes that OCA, especially the wing that is supported or led by Gideon Moi, is more interested in supporting Raila Odinga. So really there's no reason for having OCA. If they are prepared to support another candidate, they should disband and join that other candidate. There's also word that Kalonzo Musyoka is keen, Kalonzo and the senator from Bungoma and Wetangula are more keen on working with William Ruto. And I tell you, if Wetangula and Kalonzo Musyoka choose to work with Ruto, and then the Ruto ticket becomes extremely strong. Because, when we do this politics, the national politics, they have been so balkanized that now we are looking at regions. So you look at this candidate, how many regions does he control? So if Kalonzo Musyoka joins William Ruto, he comes with the eastern region. And if you put the eastern region together with the central region, then you add western, then it becomes difficult to beat a candidate who has those three regions behind him. So that is the competition that is going on right now.
Madam Betty, as you react to what the Deputy Governor Kisii, Joash Maangi, is saying, do you think it was quite telling that, Wiper leader Kalonzo Musyoka was not present during Raila Odinga's show of might in Ukambani? He was backed or seemingly backed by the three leaders, the three governors from that region, that is Charity Ngilu of Kitui, Machakos Governor Alfred Mutua, and Kivutha Kibwana of Makueni. Do you think it was quite telling that Kalonzo was not there? Do you think Kalonzo and Ruto are probably working on a pact?
I will not react, I will respond. First and foremost, we need to appreciate that we are heading into a general election, and this one coming, the stakes are extremely high.
Okay.
And the politicians who have thrown their names, especially at the presidential level, are not your ordinary politicians. They are smart, they are experienced, they have the wit, to move Kenyans to whatever direction they really want. Now, Kalonzo Musyoka has, on several occasions, on live media, expressed his desire not to work with the Right Honorable Oginga Odinga. And we have seen that, we have heard that. His reasons are best known to him and are personal to him. Now, when you look at the One Kenya Alliance, you're looking at, as it is constituted now, things perhaps may change in the near future. As is constituted right now, also reflects, the face of Kenya. Reflects the face of Kenya. Our elections and politics, unfortunately, are ethnic-based. You count numbers according to the tribes. This tribe will bring, this tribe will bring, this tribe, will bring. And when you ask your question around why Kalonzo Musyoka was conspicuously missing, in the recent visit of the former Prime Minister in Ukambani, I think that the response is political, and perhaps because now the Right Honorable is not finding it easy, to work with Kalonzo because of reasons best known to them, then he's a politician. He has to look for which other way, can I penya and access the Kamba nation. But one thing for certain, Eric, is that anyone getting into Kamba land without the blessings or without the clout of Kalonzo Musyoka with them is not likely to succeed. Kalonzo is still the kingpin of Ukambani. He is still the spokesperson, of Ukambani. He is a very experienced politician in this country, and he still commands a huge following in Cumberland. I have been in Cumberland on the ground, and people are saying, Kalonzo, show us the way, show us the direction. The current governors are there. Two of them previously have sounded like they had wanted to go for the presidency. That's Machakos governor and Makueni. But perhaps, they have shelved that and thrown their support behind their preferred candidate. And that is politics for you. Now, come back to the Mulembe Nation. Right? Mulembe Nation is still the same thing. It's still the same thing. I mean, you need to speak to so-and-so, you need to speak to so-and-so, you need to speak to so-and-so, so as to bring in, the clout that you need to win an election. The suggestion by my fellow panelists that Kalonzo would easily flip, to the hustler side, to me, that is very far-fetched, and that is propaganda, if you ask me.
He said it himself. Kalonzo said he wouldn't mind to work with the deputy president.
I wasn't aware of that, but what I know within the One Kenya Alliance, the principles are tightly knit, and very soon there's going to be a white smoke.
You keep insisting that the working arrangement within OCA is intact, but the ANC leaders this past Saturday had issued an ultimatum to the OCA principals to name a flag bearer by Christmas, or they will front Mr. Mudavadi. Does that really seem like a coalition that is intact?
Eric, everybody wants the big seat. My party leader wants the big seat. Mudavadi wants the big seat. Kalonzo wants the big seat. Senator Wetangula wants the big seat. Who doesn't want the big seat? And the OCA seat is only one. Only one person is going to sit on it as the flag bearer of OCA. Hence, the fact that for a while now, the Secretariat has worked on like a power sharing matrix. We have worked on coalition agreements. There's a lot that has gone on, behind the scenes that we don't share, in public. And every person has their supporters who tells them that it has to be you, it has to be you, it has to be it has to be you. Even us in Kanu, we want it to be our party leader. The folks from for the Kenya want, their party leader to be. So such is the nature of politics, and to me, I wouldn't pay too much attention to that, but say this, that the OCA Alliance is working on a formula of determining who their flag bearer is, and very soon that white smoke is coming, and Kenyans should just sit pretty and wait for it.
Well, away from that, when a Deputy Governor, let me engage you on a different topic now, the democracy in the Orange Democratic Movement, ODM. Page 6 of the Daily Nation says that Raila boost for MP governor bid. That is, Westlands MP Tim Wanyonyi, who seems to have Raila's blessings to run for the Nairobi County's top seat. A lot of people have been talking about, the nomination stage at the ODM. Some people have been faulting, the way nominations in the party are handled. Because we have Kadara MP George Aladwa, who also has ambitions to be the governor of Nairobi in the coming elections. What are your thoughts on this, DG?
This thing about the democracy at the nomination stage is actually overrated. Even in developed nations like America, at the nomination stage, loyalty counts, is considered paramount. If you look at the way the Americans nominate their candidates, they go through a caucus. And that caucus is not necessarily exactly democratic. It's more of a compromise. They caucus around. So at the preliminary level, at the nomination level, democracy is not exactly exercised. Loyalty plays a key role, and party affiliations and what you bring on the table. But parties exist for one purpose: to nominate a candidate who will win the election. So when you see, let's say, when you see Raila Amolo Odinga favoring one candidate, it means that he truly believes that that man will deliver the vote. Do we have absolute democracy in nominations? No. Now, what you're seeing in Tim Wanyonyi and Aladwa fighting, it means that Aladwa has his own candidate, and whom he prefers to be given the ticket. So he's just doing politics. He's twisting. He's scaring Tim Wanyonyi away. That is his way of telling Wanyonyi, hey, I will not support you. It means nothing. At the end of the day, the party will sit down and decide if they want these people to go for nomination or they want to reach a compromise. When they are reaching a compromise, three things are considered. Number one, what is the thinking of the boss? All these parties have owners. The thinking of the boss, the thinking of the owner of the party is extremely important. Number two, how serious a contender is this candidate? Because, if you are a very serious contender, and opinion polls can show that you're likely to win, parties will never chase you away. You hear people saying that a party denied somebody a ticket. It means that from their own background, it means from their own check, they don't believe this person will win that seat. If a party believes that a candidate is a front runner and is likely to win the seat, they will do everything to give him the ticket. Of course, it becomes tricky if you have 2 or 3 candidates who are almost at par. If you have 3 or 4 candidates who are at par, then now then it becomes almost discretionary.
Well, thank you. Betty, I would want you to weigh in on that, the issue of nomination at the nomination level before elections. What do you think about it? And before you answer me that, is Kanu going to front a candidate for the Nairobi gubernatorial race?
Thank you. So, like my other panelists say, that political parties exist to win political power.
Yeah.
And as Kanu, we have heard from the party leader, his own mouth, saying that Kanu is going to fill candidates in all positions everywhere in this country. So we are welcoming any person who wants to come to vie for, whatever position. And of course, the internal party election rules, is going to apply. So whether KANU is going to field in Nairobi gubernatorial level or not is a conversation that is evolving, and very soon you're going to hear about that. But remember, KANU also is in, currently the Oka coalition, and KANU is a friendly party to several other parties, out there, and conversations around Nairobi kupangwa, because that's the other truth of the matter, will also be part of that. Now, broadly, not necessarily ODM on this story, but broadly across the political parties, we see and hear over and over again the ORPP, leadership saying that parties need to be clear this time round on their nomination rules, on how to conduct their party primaries. Remember, IEBC has also released, a calendar of events that would guide the whole process right into the actual voting day. For many political parties, the weakest link has always been around the party primaries. That is where, in some cases, it is alleged that the ticket goes to the highest bidder. And this is a challenge across the political parties. Like, the certificate will go, not necessarily to even the person who NSIS says is the likely winner, but perhaps, goes to the highest bidder, and as such, denies opportunity for women, denies opportunity for youth, for PWDs, and so on and so forth, to also come in and just exercise their right to be elected into those positions. I congratulate the Westlands MP. Actually, he's my MP. I am in Westlands, and I'm an aspiring member of parliament. So this is a welcome move, and really I congratulate him for this bold move. It's not easy, to do this. Nairobi gubernatorial is not your ordinary seat, to run for. And considering that since the former governor, left office up to now, Nairobi has been in a unique, scenario. So we are looking forward to, hopefully, come 2022, we'll actually have an elected governor, deputy to lead the way.
I'll have to cut you short, Betty. We'll be back. State of the Nation will be back in a few. Keep it here.
Entrepreneurs around the country are creatively grinding.
I started with a borrowed phone.
A borrowed phone?
Yeah, that could last 2 hours with charge.
We just have to do quality work for them.
To make their mark in an unpredictable market.
It was now going on a sales venture, looking for stockists door to door.
On the grind, we bring you their stories so you can tell yours. Every Monday at 7:30 p.m. Men are known to be the pillars.
We're rising up together. Say your point. You need an alpha male now to come and help you and your girl.
Anaongea zero.
And women, they are the cornerstone that hold the pillars.
Don't be entitled. A man is peaceful, a man knows how to talk to a lady.
This November, the Men's Conference brings a cocktail of diverse ladies to weigh in on various matters.
Something I'd love more to see is men being able to exist as themselves.
Tune in every Wednesday at 10 p.m.
Hello guys, and welcome to Night In with Joy Irungu. Joy Irungu.
Heartbreak, pain, and tears have been a major part of Night In Season 1. We thank you for being with us on this journey, and for this upcoming season, we will bring you more empowering stories that not everyone is talking about.
This is the only show where we keep it authentic. We share our lifetime experiences, and you know what? Tell every person that you can turn your pain into power.
Join Joy Irungu on Night In as we take the brave step of sharing.
The road to 2022 is becoming tougher.
Nyuma ya wheelbarrow kuna economic model.
And trickier with each passing day.
Niliwaambia washushe chini bei ya mafuta.
Political aspirants in a dilemma whether to change allegiance or not.
How has Raila and the handshake made Jubilee lose focus?
You've seen Raila Odinga flying military choppers.
Our people have never been called to Uhuru Park to unite. They have always united out of their own volition.
That's last. Reduce your madness.
Kenyans are suffering.
That'd be fair to conclude.
I don't want your station to be sued. That Jubilee government has never been able to sponsor any successful project.
Every Monday at 9:30 p.m.
At Eric_Mnene, the handles to use to interact with us. The hashtag is Morning Cafe. Betty, before we went on that short break, you were talking about the nomination rules, and the strict rules or the strict directive by the Office of the Registrar of Political Parties regarding that. Please carry on.
Yes, as I was saying that in the previous elections, the political parties have been accused to be the weakest link, especially when it comes to conduct of party primaries, because that is the process through which a party will say, so and so you are our flag bearer for the elections for position X in place X, right? So this time round, I have sat on a couple of meetings at the ORPP, and I can ascertain that this time around they're damn serious about political parties, oversighting political parties to ensure that they provide and submit their election rules within the stipulated time. And of course, it behooves political parties then to educate their members and people who aspire to run, on their tickets for the various positions, so that the law within the parties and the law, in the broader Kenya is actually adhered to. For the case of ODM, we saw, of course, the party leader, and we also saw, Jimmy Wanjigi coming to say that he also wants the ticket, and the party leadership assured their members and Kenyans at large that they are going to, employ their own internal mechanisms to ensure free and fair party nomination processes. So it's not only, a thing for ODM to think about, but it's an issue for all political parties to actually consider. But I conclude by congratulating the Westlands MP, Honorable Tim Wanyonyi, for this bold move to come out, and say boldly, that he is going to run for the Nairobi gubernatorial, on an ODM ticket. All the other noise that we hear this is politics. I mean, no process is smooth. Not everyone will want you to do what it is that you want to do. But if you have a dream, hey, go for it.
Okay. So away from that now, I want to believe that we still have the Deputy Governor still with us. Deputy Governor, this is the state of the nation, and I want us to flip very quickly from politics, and I want to also imagine that you are a parent. Page 7 of the Daily Nation has a very interesting story there. The problem with our schools as unrest spirals out of control. A lot of people are apportioning blame to all manner of things as to why we have school unrest, and now unions are saying that congestion has made it harder for teachers to enforce discipline. Do you think that is right?
I kind of agree. In my opinion, I may sound a little bit anti the human rightists who are saying that caning a child is or corporal punishment should not be allowed. I think corporal punishment should be brought back. If you look at these kids, these children, the only thing they are afraid of is physical pain. Anything that does not result in physical pain, they don't care. They don't care. For example, if a child wants to go home and see his parents, wants to go home and see his friends. And unfortunately, studies have shown that most of these kids, when they are asked who they are missing when they are in school, they don't say their parents. They don't say their brothers. They say their friends. So they incite each other, ban the school, so they can go home and see their friends. But if these children knew that if you do that, you get 10 strokes of the cane, they will be very scared. They will not want to do it. What is happening in Kenya today in the education sector is unfortunate, and I think there's some level of mismanagement. For example, I have always said that while I understand why we are to move away from the former system of 7-4-2-3 to 8-4-4 was because we wanted to have a practical oriented approach to our academic syllabus. I do not know why we changed the 8-4-4 to this other CPC, which actually nobody understands. Teachers do not understand it, parents do not understand it, professors do not understand it. So it is all a mess. So when you have a mess like that, then you have children who are not afraid of being caned, because they will not be caned, the law does not allow them to. They'll pan demonstrate at will. By the way, it is extremely unfortunate when a parent sacrifices, because 80% of parents of the children who are in schools are poor. When a parent sacrifices, pays school fees for a child to go to school so that that child can better his future life, then this child goes and pans a dormitory because he or she wants to go back home to meet his or her friend. And then when it comes to going back, the parent is told, pay 20,000, pay 30,000, pay 40,000. Then you ask yourself, do these children understand that these parents are poor? Even sometimes, there's a friend of mine who was very suspicious about some of the principals, because they said, if you plan a school, a dormitory, costing about, maybe 5 million shillings, then this is a school with 1,000 or 2,000 students, and the 2,000 students are asked to pay 20,000 each. How much is that? A quick math will tell you that is 40 million. That's 40 million shillings. So sometimes one wonders if there are schools where principals are, are in cahoots with those who burn the schools down so that they make money. Because surely if you have 2,000 students and each child is going to pay 20,000 as a salary depending of the school, that is 40 million. But 40 million will build, 10 dormitories. More than 10. It will change, 40 million will change the school. So
let me just cut you short a bit there. You're saying that you're in support of corporal punishment. You would want it back. The education CS, Professor George Magoha, has also suggested that. But also you say that, this could be a money-making venture by some rogue principals and teachers who are in cahoots with the students. Why will the kids now have to suffer for, the sins of others?
I did not say, my main suspicion is in discipline. The unfortunate fear that some principals could be working cahoots with the students is secondary. It's not the main consideration. I said a friend of mine thinks that could be the reason.
Fair enough.
Yes.
Well, Betty, over to you now. Before we, when we were on that very short break, you said something, it was quite raw. I don't know if you can say it on live TV. But what do you think about what Mheshimiwa is saying? He's saying that, these kids, there could be something else that is deep-seated. There is also that aspect of probably, some rogue principals and teachers have seen this as an opportunity to mint cash from parents. And I also want to believe you are one. What do you think about that?
This is a very unfortunate situation we are in Kenya, where we are seeing parents afraid of their own children. Yeah. We are seeing the school administration afraid of students registered, in the school. While school strikes is not necessarily a new thing. We've had school striking, for all manner of reasons in the past. But right now, the current dynamic of burning one school after another is like a spell, like a wave. Yeah. And in one instance, we are seeing students telling the school administration that we have decided to go home. And if you don't let us go home, we are going to burn this school down.
Yes.
And it is us who will tell you when we want to come back. And the school principal just stared, speechless, hopeless, didn't know what to do. And those kids, the kids just left. In my view, in part, I agree with the deputy governor that there could be more to this than actually meets the eye. And every school fire incident needs to be investigated thoroughly by the authorities, and the reports, made public so that other schools and other parents and other school administrations can learn from an incident that happened, in one school. Secondly, we are just coming out of coronavirus. We are just trying to normalize life post, this pandemic. There's a lot of, people have been pent up, the same parents of the same kids. Remember, lost jobs, lost everything during the lockdowns and all that. Schools were closed, for the longest time ever. And while these kids were home, they were not necessarily at free, to do whatever it is, they wanted. Then come CBC, in the middle of all that craziness of a pandemic. A system where not as many people within that particular sector, know about it, clearly. Even some teachers are still confused as what it really is. Kids have no idea what it is. Parents are supposed to be part of that whole, algorithm, and they're, up in arms. So I'm thinking school fires really speak to a bigger problem, out there in society, where we want to ask what kind of values are we raising our children with. For a child to tell a teacher that we are going, you like it or not. For a child to think of burning a school. What kinds of things do those kids do when they are back at home, back in their communities? We may never know. When you look at the recent report that was released by the Ministry of Health around teen pregnancies, to me speaks directly, to this particular issue. We are seeing girls younger and younger, getting pregnant. And from some of them who are interviewed, it's not necessarily that somebody like raped them, while having a sexual contact with a minor is a crime. It's taking advantage of someone. But you ask yourself what really is happening when our kids, are back at home. So for me, I think we need to go back to the basics. The CS for education is to go back to the basics, back to the drawing board, bring on a round table all stakeholders, including a sample, of those, students from primary, secondary, whatever they call it these days, and just have a conversation on how do we catch up? Remember, they have catch up to do, first of all, to pay up for the time that was lost during the lockdown. And I'm thinking that is part of what's causing pressure on the parents, because you can't even breathe. A term is over, in 2 weeks' time, another term, is starting, and you need to start looking for school fees in between, while previously you'd have a whole month. To raise that money. So pressures are building. Pressures also on the students themselves, with huge, workload to catch up. And also school administration not knowing how to respond to these matters. Now, when you're talking about congestion, I don't know where extra kids came from. So to me, I don't think I cannot blame congestion on things. When I was studying myself a couple of years ago, we were just as congested. And you go to a public school. I went to a public school right from primary all the way, even up to the university. Congestion. So blaming it on congestion, to me, I don't buy that. For me, I'm thinking the education sector stakeholders, including the tripartite of the teacher, the parent, and the student, need to be speaking from the same script. Lastly, it behooves me to wonder, just like my fellow panelists, the deputy governor is saying, a child just doesn't wake up and burn a school, or a bunch of 2 or 3 think of burning a school. We saw, girls jumping from 2nd floor, 3rd floor, and they could easily die. We have seen kids burning to death, in schools. And we hear that some of these fires are started with petrol. So let's start from there. Where does this child get petrol from? Let's start from there.
Or even the money.
Where do they get the money? The money is another story. But who is this who would sell petrol, to a boy or a girl who looks like a minor? And this petrol is being bought in probably a jerry can or some container. Are they having doing this in cahoots with people within the sector, people who have access to these things? Is there an outsider? Is there a caretaker who they can give something small, you know, to bring for them this? So all this must be investigated, and these reports actually made public. And for those who are culpable, it doesn't matter whether you are a minor, you need to do time, because it is because of a bunch of you that now the entire school, every parent now is being made to pay 10K, 15K, and things are tough from an economic perspective.
Just as we wind up on this very quickly, don't you think this is probably an issue of Generation Z being bold enough to question the things that the older generations never questioned?
Yes and no. Older generation used to question things. Only that we would not question a person in authority just like that. All right, there were systems for younger generation to question things.
Yes.
It was questioned through a structure. It was questioned through a formula. It was not questioning through impunity. And I want to believe every school, to my knowledge, has even things like suggestion boxes. They have guidance and counseling, you know, structures. There are school prefects. There's always someone you can. There's always someone you can always go and talk to when you're having an issue. And remember, you're in school like 3 months, 1 month, you're back at home. You have your parent right there who you can raise up this issue with. And when your parents go to the AGM of parents were able to raise some of these things that they were hearing from their hearing from their kids. What I think also could be happening is, my kind of generation, right? We are now parents of kids who are in high school, who are getting into colleges. We didn't have it easy. We didn't have it easy. Yet we produced the A's and we produced the B's and C's and all that. But now when it is our turn to have our own children, perhaps there's too much babying. You call your child mommy and daddy, you know, and there's too much babying, and you baby this child, and it's about whatever that child wants, you know, because you have the means, you know, to provide it. And we miss out on instilling the values, you know, the values that make us an African people. You know, the values of respect, the values of how you carry yourself around, the values of speaking up, you know, when you're having an issue. And so we are having parents now stuck with the kids that they also don't know what to do with. I know by my own self quite a number of parents who are so relieved when their own kids are in school. And when the holiday is about to come back, you know, their blood pressures go high because they just don't know what to do with these kids. Yes, yet it is your own child. But not all is lost. I think we can still make a turnaround. We can go back to the drawing board as a people, as the key stakeholders within the education sector, have conversations on what are we not doing right? Where are we missing it? Where are we losing it? Let's hear and listen from the students themselves in terms of what is it, and then let the ministry also take those suggestions into account and slowly make adjustments to whatever extent possible.
Okay, thank you. So page 10 of the Standard, and this goes to you, Bwana DG. There is a story there with about 270 days left to rule. Uhuru's options are wearing thin. President Kenyatta's tenure as president of Kenya ends in 268 days, and thereafter he can only remain in office in caretaker capacity pending swearing in of a new president or resolution of any challenges that the August 9th election could throw up. What do you think the president should prioritize on as, you know, his time to rule, you know, goes out? Bwana DG.
Eric, you know, this is what in other developed states, developed countries will call the lame duck time. This is the time when the president is a lame duck. He cannot do much because even the civil servants working under him are no longer afraid of him. And I think you can see that even ministers working under him are no longer scared of him, because the time is gone. If I were President Uhuru Kenyatta today, I will embark on respecting the rule of law, so that the best legacy can leave behind. Because when he tried the four, it's called the four pillar, what? The big four agenda. I mean, it has not worked. The big four agenda has not worked. If I were him, because ideally it's not even 8 months that are remaining. I think it is 5 months, because from May, once Parliament is actually is shut down, there's no government. So he has only 5 more months. If I were him, I'll use this remaining 5 more months to respect the rule of law, obey all that the court has asked me to obey, and ensure that those who are corrupt are dealt with.
Okay.
That way, when he goes away, he will leave at least a legacy of righteousness, the legacy of obeying the law. He has already said that President, when he accepted to go to The Hague, he could have refused to go to The Hague, but he went to The Hague. That was extremely important. Secondly, he also said that President, when he accepted to go back for a second election in 2017, when the Supreme Court declared the elections as having been unprocedural. So he has done 2 things that are very crucial. But then his refusal to obey some of the court orders kind of erodes the history he had set up in those 2 wonderful incidences. Number 1, accepting to go to The Hague while he's the sitting president, and submitting himself to The Hague, abandoning his presidency for 2 days, 3 days. That showed a man who's prepared to respect the rule of law. Number 2, when the Supreme Court ruled the 2017 election as having been unprocedural, he again surrendered. He accepted. He said, I do not agree with your ruling, but I will respect the rule of law. Now, but the few things he has done, he has disobeyed the law in a number of cases where the courts have given rulings, and he has discarded them. I think that is going to erode the confidence people had created on him as a man who respects the law. How I wish he would use the remaining 5 months to obey every court order that courts in Kenya have given, so that he can leave back a legacy of lawfulness.
Okay. Betty, back to you. 270 days left, the big 4, seemingly it's not going to be achieved with the president still in power. Probably his deputy, if he gets to win, or the former Prime Minister Raila Odinga, maybe he can have a chat with them and ensure that it has been realized. What do you think the president should prioritize on right now?
Wow. Sometimes I look back and ask myself, you mean 10 years? 10 years has just, gone like that, and now we are counting days, to the end of this current administration. While the administration, especially in the second term, has had its fair share of challenges, in my view, I want to believe His Excellency, the President, did all he could in his capacity as head of state to achieve as much of his promise to Kenyans. So we cannot stand up and say the president has done completely nothing. No. That to me is not correct. He may have not achieved 100% of what he set out to do, but there are things that he will, be remembered for, especially the infrastructural development, of which, in my view, he should focus on those and ensure that in the next, is it five months or so, that they are completed and commissioned, so that whoever succeeds him, comes in and just starts on a clean slate, on things that person, will be judged on by Kenyans. But for me, what's key is a smooth transition, of power. We know, even from experiences in Africa and in other countries across the world, that transitioning of power in some cases, if not smoothly done, can really take us back, thousands of years back. So to me, I would be hopeful to see a president exiting office, but making every effort in his power to ensure that the country is safe and secured, and that the elections are done smoothly, and peacefully, and that we have a country, even after the general election, and that power is, handed over smoothly. That is critical for me.
Okay, well, because I see we are running out of time, Bwana DG, very briefly, 30 seconds maximum, I want us to talk about a conversation that, a topic rather that has sparked national conversation. That is on page 12 of the Daily Nation. The spotlight on security agents as number of missing persons hits 34. Very briefly, 30 seconds. What do you think about that and the state of our criminal justice system?
The DCI should spend more time in protecting our people other than prosecuting political culprits.
Okay.
I think the Kenyan police should spend more time, should emphasize in protecting the lives of our people than what they're doing. And now they're spending more time chasing people who are considered to be on the wrong side of the political divide. They should be chasing people on the wrong side of the law, not on the wrong side of the political divide. That is my take.
Thank you very much. Betty, over to you. Very briefly, 20 seconds.
People who miss are people's husbands, wives, friends, family members, and people who are productive to this country. We have entrusted our security operators with the task of ensuring security and that everybody is safe. When the number of missing persons continues to rise, and especially now as we are heading towards a general election, it's not a good sign, and I just urge security personnel to move with speed to find out what happened to these people, and so that the culprits are also brought to light. And I also want to urge Kenyans to cooperate with the security apparatus in case they have any information that could lead to an arrest or could lead to resolving the mysteries around the missing persons. I think Kenyans too have a duty.
Well, thank you very much, Betty Adera, the co-chair of the One Kenya Alliance Secretariat and also the KANU Women Congress National Chair. Asante sana. Bwana DG Kisii, Joash Maangi, thank you very much. We lost, that's the former Deputy Speaker